Hi, everyone. Welcome to, or hopefully welcome back to Taking the Lead, where I get to interview respected leaders from the worlds of PR and communications. But of course, as you know, if you've been here a few times, we talk to them more about leadership than about PR. And this is a historic day because we're welcoming back to the show our first returning guest, Scott Baradell. He's the founder and CEO of Idea Grove. He founded it some 17, 18 years ago. Idea Grove is a very honored communications firm out in Dallas. They've been named an Inc. Best Workplace in 2021 and 22, a three-time Inc. 500 company, ranked as one of the top 25 tech agencies in the US by my friend John O'Dwyer at O'Dwyer's newsletter. He speaks on PR and marketing at industry events nationwide. Maybe you've been fortunate enough to capture him, but we're here because there's a new chapter, and I'm using the word chapter intentionally. He's a trust expert, and late in 2022 published Trust Signals: Brand Building in a Post-Truth World. And we're definitely going to talk about trust in today's segment. And one thing you may not know about Scott, I didn't know about Scott, his last name comes from medieval England, an English village called Baradell. His wife, Maria, is Venezuelan. And when people meet him, they always assume it's the Hispanic pronunciation. I've always called him Scott Baradell, but that's apparently wrong. So we all can learn. We all can learn. And you're going to learn a lot today from my friend, Scott Baradell. Welcome back to Taking the Lead.
Thank you so much for having me, Ken. I'll say real quick that, you mentioned that one of the things we're really proud of is winning Inc. Best Workplace 2 years in a row. And one of the reasons for that is Ken Jacobs, because the truth is that I was trying to get these awards for so long and we would always come up short. And the counseling and guidance and coaching that Ken has given to our leadership has made a big difference in getting us over the hump and has made us just better across the board. So thank you, Ken.
That was unexpected and very kind. So thank you for that. So looking back, 2022, biggest leadership lessons that are going to affect how you are going to lead in 2023, please.
Well, I think for me, it's don't make excuses because, I think that a lot of people, when COVID hit in 2020, it's very easy to adopt an excuse mentality of this is why my business isn't doing well. This is why my employees aren't happy. This is why anything bad that's happening is happening. And if you do that as a leader, it's going to trickle down. And suddenly you've just got a lot of people who aren't taking accountability or aren't feeling agency in terms of, directing their own lives and their own work lives. 2022 really highlighted that for me because we got out of COVID for the most part, and we had other things happen like inflation. And then suddenly, oh, it's inflation or it's quiet quitting. And so I have high employee turnover because of quiet quitting. It's not my fault. So if you get sucked into that, assuming these external things are the reason, it's not that these things aren't factors. It's like, don't worry about things you can't control. Worry about the things you can control. And that's a lesson that is very important for leaders to absorb themselves, but also to make sure that everyone on their team gets that too.
Yeah, I think, anyone can make excuses, and it's not, I couldn't lead or I couldn't succeed or I couldn't make my numbers because of what's out there. It's because of what's out there, I'm going to lead in a different way. And I think just expect more uncertainty, and how you lead through it affects your team's desire and your clients' desire to follow you. So great
right.
point. So, you've certainly modified your agency leadership in the past few years. You've added a president, COO. You've elevated some other agency executives whom I think very highly of. They're all clearly leaders in their own right. So what's your top 3 tips about leading leaders?
Well, some of this are things you've heard before, but I'll just vouch for them. Like, hire people smarter than you, hire people with complementary skills to you, these people that are good at what you're not good at, and then get out of the way. Because,
Mm.
every amount of time that you spend managing someone is overlapping time. You know, if you could find someone's true passion and role and where they can contribute best in a complementary way to others, you can just delegate and let them go. They're going to be happier, and you're going to have less of that overlap in terms of timing you're spending together managing or micromanaging or whatever you're doing, and it makes your company less efficient and less profitable. So there are a lot of benefits, but you got to hire the right people and you've got to put them in the right roles,
That
or
kind of
right people,
reminds me.
right seat, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. It reminds me, we talked a lot over the years about, I need to motivate the people on my team. And the latest research, latest point of view is you can't motivate them. They self-motivate. You can inspire them. They self-motivate. And one way for them to self-motivate is that if they're doing jobs that A, they're good at, and B, that are challenging, and C, that they're passionate about. That's the way to do it. And then, of course, getting the hell out of the way is always a good leadership
and
strategy.
and free ice cream also.
Free ice cream. Yes, I'm all for free ice cream. Okay. So we mentioned in our introduction of you that you recently published Trust Signals. It's available on Amazon. I got to tell you, I tore through it in hours, and I have so many books that I've partly read and they're on the coffee table or frankly in the John or whatever, but I just couldn't put yours down. I loved it. And it's
Thank you.
partly about how PR, communications pros, and marketers can build trust with their audiences. So, why is trust so essential for leaders? Having nothing to do with PR, why is trust so essential for leaders, do you think?
Well, no one's going to listen to you if they don't trust you. So it really has to be the first thing you do. So if you're in sales and good at sales, that the first thing you have to do is establish rapport, establish trust. You don't immediately start selling whatever product you're trying to sell. You have to establish that. As a leader, you have to communicate in an authentic way to employees that they're not being hired just to help you sell widgets, and they're not just there to collect a paycheck, that you've got a larger purpose and you want them to be part of it. And that kind of rapport building establishes trust, which is necessary to get to step B, which is them listening to you about anything else.
Yeah, excellent points. And I remember as reading it, I was thinking, well, this is always true when I was everything you said about trust and PR and communications and marketing, yes, was very true when I was in the business, which we all know was many years ago.
Yeah.
But it's almost truth on steroids. It's so much truer today, I think, because of misinformation, because of the rise of social media. So I just found it profoundly important, both for leaders and those in the PR field. So now shifting a bit, talking about those,
Thank
you
you.
know, in the PR field, well, and all leaders. Now let's shift it back to leaders, PR leaders. If they want to build greater trust among those they lead, what are the first steps?
Well, it starts with, before you even hire them. I talk about the trust signals in general being evidence points that we find, and that's not just in marketing, it's everywhere in life. If you're going to go out on a date, you're going to want to research that person online first and find out, see that what their LinkedIn looks like, and make sure they don't have a criminal background or all these things. If you're looking, I don't know,
Glad I'm
your
married.
social circles might be different from mine, but
Yeah, apparently.
but but of course I'm married too. But so
Yeah.
it's just all hypothetical. Anyway, in business, my trust signals as someone who's looking for a job are all the credentials I'm putting in my resume, my LinkedIn. I'm trying to put my best foot forward in the same way and give you evidence points as an employer to hire me. I'm also looking to see that whether I trust you, and I'm going to your glass door. I'm going to find out everything I can about you in my research before I come and apply for a job there or interview with you. And so that trust building begins before. It's just like they say, 80% of the buying process today is before they ever talk to someone, right? Same thing with employees. 80% of establishing that basis, that foundation for getting someone to trust you is, hey, there's all these reviews that are really detailed and authentic on Glassdoor and other places, and they're saying these things, and they're talking about values, and everything I'm seeing on their website is supporting that. And then when I come in, then I'm ready to embrace and accept more freely what you're sharing with me, because I don't think you're just blowing smoke or giving me a bill of goods to hire me. So that's a starting point. But then, of course, how you follow that up is crucial, or because losing trust is worse than never having it at all. And that's things like, in our case, we do things like book clubs and things like that, where we're reading about how to have crucial conversations and how to do things in our jobs and get better at them. And I think those kind of authentic conversations help to establish deeper relationships and trusting relationships.
And what if there's a leader who either knows through feedback or suspects, I got some people on the team who don't trust me to the degree I'd like them to? What are some things a leader can do?
Well, I mean, I think the best thing to do is to take that head on and to get candid feedback. You've got to be able to make people feel psychologically safe to share with you. If you can't, if people feel like they're going to be reprimanded, or there's going to be some negative consequences for saying, hey, the last couple times things happened, it didn't happen the way you said they were going to. So, once bitten, twice shy. I'm really not sure if I trust you this time. And if you've got to get at what's the root of the skepticism. And once you get to the root of that, then you can hopefully take it head on. Maybe it requires an apology. Maybe it requires an acknowledgement that you're not perfect, but you're trying. Or maybe it's like, I seem to want everything to go a certain way, and if it isn't, I kind of cover up for it rather than just admitting my frailties. Maybe there's something deeper you have to do looking inside as a manager. But it's hard to figure anything that out if you can't get first someone to at least talk to you about what they're having problems with.
Absolutely. Last question. You've got 5 children in your family, amazingly from the ages. It's not amazing you have 5. To me, it's amazing they're from 2 to 15. What has that taught you about effective leadership?
Well, the first thing it taught me is that I should not and will not ever again compare my children to the people who work for me, because it's, I've been around, in a while, and I've got a lot of employees that are in their early 20s and stuff. And to me, there are things that I've learned in parenting that I apply in as a boss. And but when I say, oh, that's the same thing I did with my kids, people are like, I'm not a kid. So I just have to keep that part to myself. But the truth is, you learn so much about leadership through parenting, or you can, because these kids obviously they have so much to learn, right? And they make so many mistakes, and they do things that can be really frustrating to the extreme compared to someone in the workplace. And if you can learn how to handle those situations, and take that empathy and take some of those techniques and then apply them in the workplace, I know unconsciously or unconsciously, I do it all the time. And I think it's just one of those things that just naturally matures you. At least it has for me, is being a parent and just kind of embracing the fact that, you know, it's a lot of work, but it's rewarding work.
And aren't you tired all the time? I mean, between the
Uh,
number of children and the age spread, right?
well,
Toddler from toddler to teen, that's the name of your next book. There you go.
Yeah, between the kids and the book, which fortunately is done now, but also the agency, yeah, it can be a little stressful, but I like it.
Yeah. Good, good. Well, the time's gone. We're done. How did that happen? So we're going to wrap up by thanking Scott Baradell again. If you want to explore any of the issues we talked about on leadership today, please reach out to me, KEN@JACOBSCOMM.com. And again, I strongly encourage you to check out Trust Signals at Amazon. It is a good and valuable read for anyone interested in PR, marketing communications, leadership, or both. So, Scott, thank you again for coming back to the podcast. We really appreciate it. And for everyone else, till next time, keep on taking the lead.